Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Ankh Ageplay podcast. I can't believe that we just hit this error. Like, we had a good conversation going.
It was so great. I'm
Oh,
sorry
God.
you missed it.
Oh, God. It's so stupid. I hate that I have this issue with OBS sometimes. I apologize. Where it records the video, but it's not recording sound. And it didn't record my sound or Kat's sound at all. So let me do that again. Welcome back to the Kid Onk Age Play podcast. I would like to introduce you guys to Goddess slash Mommy Kat Marie. We had a whole conversation that was really good, and it's just
Good.
oh my god. Okay, we can do this again.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. So I brought Goddess slash Mommy Kat Marie. I have to do that because I don't want to leave out titles.
I know, it just depends on what you're into.
Yeah. We were discussing Elite AB Clinic. As you guys know, I've done this several times in the past. I've talked
I think we all have, honestly.
talked about this clown online, and it's just, oh god. Okay, so give you guys a heads up for those of you that don't know. Elite AB Clinic is a page. I want to say page is it. I don't like at this point. Like it's been around for like the last 4 years. And it's one guy claiming that he's opening a nursery that isn't open and it's not accepting people. He claims that it is open though, but then it's not. And if you're an investor, he gives you a completely different email. Right now, it just seems like a major scam. And what made me really want to get Goddess Kat Marie on here is that I saw an article about you suing him, and I thought that was fascinating.
It was.
Yeah. So I would love for you to explain that. I apologize that we have to do this again.
No, it's okay. So I got a call from my attorney one day because the Denver Post reached out. They have a whole division that, keeps an eye on federal lawsuits. And they wanted to talk to me about it because it was kind of on a big level. But, how I was even informed that he was claiming that I work for him was just someone sending me a message and, saying, did you know the Elite AB Clinic is saying that you work for him? And it was like, okay, let me look into this. And then the back and forth between myself and Mark Young started very civilly. And I simply asked him to remove my content from his Twitter and, wherever else he had it posted. And he downright refused and played all these games with me going back and forth and threatened me, which is also part of my court case with him. And, he really tried to shut me up in a way and just wasn't going to let him win. So we found out a lot in discovery about Mr. Mark Young, like the fact that he doesn't even live in the UK.
Wait.
So it's funny how he's had like 3 grand openings for a location where he doesn't even live.
Yes, and I covered a couple of those grand openings that never happened. Oh, also, you said 3 grand openings and 4 open houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a photo of a different house every time. Very interesting.
Always somewhere in the UK, but it never really exists, and no one ever freaking finds it.
Yeah.
But you have people that claim that they have been there, but now that's the thing, is that these are not credible accounts. Now, and I want to preface this. When I first heard about this, I offered him a chance to be on the podcast and talk about it. I gave him a chance to do that. But then he was like, oh, well, you can interview the 5 people who are ambassadors for me. And I go, oh, okay. Well, let me talk to them. And I talked to one of them and I said, hey, how are you? He says, great. And then I just explained to him what it was that I was looking for, and he just goes, "Oh, the Elite AB Clinic is one of the best places I have ever been." And I'm like, "Okay, wait, hold on. I want to ask you, do you know this man?" And he says, "What?" I says, "Do you know this guy?" And he goes, block. What?
Yeah,
I says,
sounds about right.
yeah, and then he says, "You see?" I go, wait. I have a question. Why did he block me? Because you scared him. Scared him how? I just asked him if he knew you. That's a bit suspicious. Like,
Yeah.
why would he jump for that? And like then I never got to meet the other 5 people. But then like a lot of the people that he claims are ambassadors are people that are actually on Facebook.
Hmm.
And he claims that they know that their stuff is being used, and he shows you conversations, but there's no proof that those are actually that person responding.
Yeah.
Like some of the people that he's had are definitely people who I know I have run into before, because I have some of them blocked on Facebook, because I've had some of these guys run up and just send me unsolicited dick pics or unsolicited used diaper pics for no reason. And I'm just like, no. Why? It's like, why don't you ask for permission or start with, hey? And he's like, because I just felt like doing that. Oh, okay. Well, bye then. And then just block them. And then they go around and they do this, and then they'll post online about how much they need a mommy and how much they need someone to take care of them and how they want to be a permanent baby and stuff like that. These are the same guys that fall for the Nigerian scam of the registering as an adult baby, which is fucking stupid. Like, it's like, guys, why would you believe that is even
It's
possibly a thing?
such a red flag, and I don't understand how some people don't see it as a red flag. It's just like, these weird accounts that claim that they've either been to the AV clinic or, they've done whatever. I mean, if he was real, he would make a video where he was the one talking, not AI. He wouldn't be using clip art and pictures of women who are no longer in the game, supposedly, like screenshots from basically
Old dead
ABDL
accounts.
porn.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
because he used Goddess X's stuff on one. Because I looked at the thing, because I looked at the video and I was like, I know that nursery, and everyone was like, "You do?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I know that nursery." And they're like, "How do you know?" I have watched enough ABDL porn to be a connoisseur of this shit. Like, like, like I can tell you of porn I watched from like fucking early 2000s. I was like,
There's only so many,
yeah,
like there's only so many decked out nurseries that when you're into this as your thing, yeah, you're gonna have seen it, you're gonna recognize it. But he's not that smart.
no, especially when like, and he's clipping the art he's clipping the pics in a way that he gets rid of the watermarks. But
Hmm.
I noticed that, like, even if he does that, if you have the original photo and it does have the watermark, there's also the data that's on the photo, so you can just prove that he stole it.
Yeah.
Hence why I don't understand, like, how that came up, like how he came to the decision that that's going to work. One of his arguments is that we are trying to hold a monopoly over the ABDL community.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That whole argument really made me laugh because he tries to use these legal words that just makes me chuckle. Like he really wants people to believe his little scam. Um but when going down the rabbit hole of really looking into Mark Young, like he's connected to quite a few other websites and they're all connected to Google AdSense. So the going back and forth with people and arguing in these ludicrous ways is really just gaining him clicks. And I'm pretty sure he gets paid per click.
See, that's And that's fucking suspicious, because that makes it where it makes so much sense that he's doing that, because that explains all of the weird arguments he'll start online and the random fights. Like that.
Or like tagging you in things, like when he wants to get it started again. You know, you can always tell when like I get, and you do too, get like tagged in these new posts where he just wants to be like, you know, he wants you to bite on it, basically.
And start these ridiculous fights to the point that like I just practically ignore him now. It is really, it's really bad, because I'm pretty sure the ABDL scam finders site or page on Twitter is actually him, because a lot of the arguments that the person that owns that page is doing is very Mark-esque. So yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. So I've talked to that guy a little bit, because I was a little suspicious in the same way. And I have to say, I'm not quite sure on that one. He's got a whole backstory about how his son was scammed out of like most of his inheritance. And he's a lawyer, and he just wants to put some resistance up to these people. But I am convinced of the same thing. Like, I really think that Mark Young created this. What do they call it? What is he calling it? Scam busters, ABDL scam busters, or something like that. But I think he did that so that he could like create validation that he's
some type of rapport in the community, which I figured that that's what he was doing, because that would have been the easiest way to do it, is to gain rapport with the community by going out there and claiming that he's finding all these scammers. And in order to make like the community believe that he is not there.
He could give himself the seal of approval on this other site, and then people would be like, oh, finally, we have someone, you know, I don't know. There's just, there's something about the AI voices and, you know, being able to trace his pictures literally back to, you can Google some right back to their like LinkedIn, you know, that should be enough for people. And I have to admit, like, my heart goes out to someone who is so desperate for a back and forth mommy experience that they almost don't even care who they're really talking to on the other side.
Like that 1%, like they believe that if there's a 1% chance that the person that they're talking to is not a scammer and is a real mommy, then they will take it. And the funny thing is that this is not a new phenomenon. This has been going on since like even when I first joined the community back in 2012. So it's been going on a long time. And I cannot tell you how many scammers I've run into. There have been a lot.
Well, you know, in case someone doesn't know, like, I am a genuine switch. So I have my mommy side and love mommying my partner, but I also am a little. And so my little Instagram is like, you know, the blocked message, or not the blocked message, but like the filtered messages. It's nothing but scam mommies, like trying to get me to it cracks me up. Do you need a mommy? Nope, certainly don't.
That's the funny thing, because I don't get them on Twitter. I get them on Facebook. On Facebook for because the podcast has its own Facebook account. So I get a lot of them on there, and they constantly try to get like, oh, do you need a mommy? I do mommy services.
I'm looking for a 24/7 baby. Oh gosh. And can you imagine, for the person who really fantasizes about that, how exciting it would be for someone to pop into their DMs and be like, I'm looking for exactly what you want, honey bunny. It just, they've got it down to a T, you know, like.
Except for the fact that there is, so there is something I want to say on that. If you ever see someone that says, I'm looking for a serious baby, what the fuck does that mean?
What does that mean?
I've asked that question to them. What the fuck does that mean? Like a 24/7.
What makes you serious?
Yeah, what makes it serious? Like, what the fuck? And I was like, or I am an ABDL mommy. And I kept saying, I was like, can you all stop saying that? Because that just looks weird. I was like, because it's usually just a mommy dom. I don't know why you guys specifically put ABDL in there.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh all you have to do is pay me this one time. Like, I actually ran into someone who was not a scammer. Ironically, I ran into someone who was not a scammer, who was a little bit more weird than that. A matter of fact, I ran into a woman from, I believe she was from Thailand. Yeah, she was from Thailand. Even though we're going to be talking about Thailand a lot here. But yeah, this woman was from Thailand, and she was just like on like doing video calls and stuff with different ABs and stuff like that, and like doing just random mommy services, which is I thought was kind of weird. But then I realized that she was doing it for like I guess to give herself something to do. I don't know. It was strange, and it got like the thing that got me like to investigate this more and more is that she had followed me on Instagram, and then we chatted on Instagram a couple of times, and I realized that this woman did not understand a word of what she was saying. And I kept saying, and she was like, "Oh, I live in America." No, you don't. You damn sure do not live in America. You can barely speak English.
Yeah.
I was like, even though there are people that can't speak English that live in America, I can tell by the background of your house, there is no house that looks like that. That is
Hmm.
definitely a build that is in a different country. I was like, so what country are you in? She was in South Africa somewhere. No, it was definitely Thailand. It was definitely Thailand because it the area that you could see through her window was very much Thailand. Like you could tell it was Thailand, and
Hmm.
it was wild. Like it, what stopped us from chatting is that it like her conversation got kind of racist, and she knew it. Like she knew that what she was saying was wrong, but she was saying it anyway because I wasn't as devoted as her other ABs that she had talked to. I wasn't interested in her like that. I was just curious because I wanted to know. I didn't do any play with this woman, which is interesting because I was fascinated by what was going on,
Hmm.
and I was like, how many ABs do you have like here to do stuff with you? Like what is this?
What is going on? Yeah.
Yeah, but there are a lot of but those people are still scammers. Like they are dead scammers because
Oh, for sure.
yeah, because they would just take the money and run. The other people like I said, people like they want that 1% chance. They want to
Hmm.
know that there is a chance that that person on the other side of that screen is someone who will mommy them. And it is sad, but I really don't have an answer on how you would combat that. Like I understand that like his like I said before, you and I disagreed on this, but you wanted to protect them. I'm like, fuck them. They fed the rats. Like we have a rat problem because they fed the rats. Like
Yeah.
what do you want me to say? Like the reason why the scammers are
True.
so bad is because they kept giving them money.
They get away with it. Exactly. If they could just get $20 out of each and every person they talk to, I mean, that's quite the little hustle. And yeah, same thing. I think the only way to combat it is really to educate the new community members coming in because they don't know yet. And when you don't know, that person coming into your inbox that's saying, "Are you looking for a mommy?" They're like, "Heck yes, I am looking for a mommy. That's exactly why I'm here." And like, they're vulnerable and they're desperate and they want that validation and that feeling of connection. And I do want to protect people from that. Um, and it's frustrating. It's very frustrating because my inbox is and the inbox of the Royal Guard is nonstop messages of I got scammed out of this much money. I got scammed out of that much money. And what really put me over the edge was people who thought they were talking to me and are booking sessions with Mommy Kat and then nothing. And
Finding
it's
out
like,
that those sessions aren't even real. Yeah.
yeah. As a matter of fact, my first trip out to Indiana to go to the very first Indie Dream World, where I met you actually,
Yeah.
um, I met a gentleman there who didn't live far from Indianapolis, and I invited him to come to the con and meet me because our conversation back and forth was because he had sent like $1,200 to this person who was claiming to be me for a session. And I was like, well, there's nothing I can do to get your $1,200 back, but I will give you a free session because I know emotionally you were so excited about it. And if you're willing to come to Indianapolis, we'll have a session. We'll, do the whole thing. And we ended up going out to dinner, and I really connected with this guy, and I still talk to him on a weekly basis on Instagram because my heart just like ached for him. I know how this person was for
Are you there? Oh,
I am here.
it cut out for just a second.
Oh,
Yeah, it was weird. You have completely froze. Uh,
oh my goodness.
but I know exactly where you said. You said that you felt really bad for him and that you wanted him to.
Yeah, I mean, as any human, when you're looking for something and you feel like you found it, and then you invested whatever the sacrifice is into get it, and then to find out that someone was scamming you, like that's a horrible feeling.
It is.
And his interaction with me was really the biggest push to make the Royal Guard into something that was really more of a movement to remove to scam mommies from this community. And it's something that I'm never going to slow down about. As a matter of fact, I just added 2 more people to the Royal Guard team because I couldn't handle it all on my own. There's just so many reports coming into the account on an everyday basis that it's insane. Like, it's overwhelmingly insane, honestly.
See, that is wild. Which, oh, we forgot to talk about that. Royal Guard. Yeah, isn't it? So that I remember that you handed out flyers for that at Indie Dream World when we first met.
Yeah, they're like little lanyards that, basically like spread the word, follow our Instagram, get a free hug from Mommy Cat because it's a movement, and if everyone is involved in it and everyone helps report these accounts, they will eventually get taken down. But I do have one, more power with any account that's using my content because I have taken the time and the money to not only trademark but copyright my watermark, my logo, and my business in general. So the Instagram accounts, Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts that are using my content, all I have to do is file a DMCA notice with the legal paperwork saying, here's proof that this content is owned by me and they're using it illegally, and they immediately get taken down, which is why I have great success in getting my content removed from the internet. But we work on any stolen content because Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, they will pay attention when things are getting reported on the mass level. But if it's just 1 or 2 people, it's one thing. And I do want to just throw this out there. A lot of people are encouraged to report and block, and that just isn't good enough.
No.
Once you block that, it's almost like you've taken it out of your hands, out of sight, out of mind. But just one report is not enough for Instagram to really pay attention to something. So I encourage people to report as many times as you are willing. And if you follow the Royal Guard on Instagram, we put the accounts on our story that are like most important, the ones that are really a problem. And the story is your reminder, hey, can you please go report this account? We need this, and then we celebrate when it's taken down.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Blocking the account does not help. It doesn't, because once you report that one time, it's real rough to get Instagram or Facebook to get off their sorry ass and actually do something. So,
It really is.
Yeah, so they really don't. And it is a huge issue. Now, I wanted to go. Let's jump back to the Mark Young here. I wanted to ask you now. I remember that he had a Patreon that was using up people's photos. A lot of people didn't know this, but he had a Patreon and he was making money off of other sex workers like photos and stuff, claiming that he was renaming the women in the photo, saying this is Mommy Anna and it's like Goddess X, like
Yeah.
yeah, it was, or Governess X. And I was like, what are you doing? And like when I pointed this out, I remember he didn't just block me, but he got real mad and saying that I was stealing his content. I was like, dude, you are robbing these people of content, and you are blocking out. I said, you're cutting out their watermarks and changing
Yeah.
the size of these photos. I still have like a whole bunch of the screenshots I had caught him in doing this. One of
And
which,
the only profile or platform that he's going to get away with that on is Patreon, because any other paywall site is going to ask for an ID front and back held next to your face, a consent form. He can't do that on a Just for Fans or an OnlyFans.
actually, he won't be able to do that on Patreon anymore either. Patreon has purged all the ABDL content on the page.
Good.
Yeah, but however, that also hit all the artists that were doing their own artwork and stuff. Yeah, I have a lot of friends that are artists that had their art taken down because Patreon took a really odd stance, and I'm not sure why. I think it has to do with where their company is centralized. So I believe they're in the South, where that's becoming a bit of an issue. There is, or it could have been the credit card companies, which, if I'm not mistaken, the ACLU is now suing MasterCard for doing really shitty practices like that, because because that's anti-consumer, and it's actually anti-business, but an anti-competitor. It is weird that on the different like things and intricacies going on. I have to do a podcast on that one day. I got to explain about the whole ACLU thing. I'm gonna see if I can get someone from the ACLU to chat with. The other point I wanted to point out is that he claimed that so there was like 4 grand openings, 4 open houses, none of which happened, and he kept moving back the clock. Here's the weird part though. He posted on his pages on Twitter about how great of an experience all these people had at his nursery. Now, I happen to have saw an email that he was sent to his people that were thinking about investing in his fake nursery, and it's actually kind of fascinating. So one of the things that he was telling people is that right now that the nursery is closed and that it has not opened its doors, even though he claims it's opened its doors like 2 other times. So he's telling the investors one thing and then telling the people in the public a completely other thing. And I'm like, that's shady as shit.
Yeah. And how could you have a nursery that, isn't open but has testimonials?
Yeah.
It doesn't make, like, there's testimonials on the website that are clearly written in his vernacular that is like, I've been there, I had a great experience, and even describe the food that was like served. Where did the session happen?
Yeah, and you're right. And it is a really like crappy, like it's definitely a scam. Let's just put it this way. It's definitely a scam. Because you don't do shit like that and then it not be.
Well, and yes, you're absolutely right. But also, he was served a federal lawsuit from me, and he didn't respond. He
Wait,
did not.
what?
Yes, he was.
So he
Yes.
didn't fight back on the lawsuit.
Well, no, he hasn't responded to it at all. So right now we're just in, I'm proving damages right now. And
Which that can lead to a default judgment, doesn't it?
it's already a default judgment.
Oh shit. Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah. What's really funny is right after he was served his paperwork and he accepted them, he started a GoFundMe, and I can only assume that was for legal fees, which he didn't. He had, I think, 30 days to respond. He did not respond. And I feel, just as my simple human self, that if you were a legit business, if you were an actual nursery and someone served you with paperwork, why wouldn't you respond to it? It's because he can't prove anything, and he's going to have to, because he's going to be called no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, he has.
This is not a simple civil suit. This is not even, your normal court case. This is a federal lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I went low with this. Like we did it, and did it on a serious level, because one, he's claiming quite a few things that are very, very crazy. That I worked for him. He's using my copyrighted material, but also he threatened me in written word on the internet, which is obviously evidence. Like, the man is nuts.
I remember that I believe Andy Boyle, who's the guy that has been doing the parody page of his Elite AB clinic, Andy Boyle had showed me several times, and I actually do have the clip, the screenshot, where he threatened Andy Boyle with a knife. Like, he sent him a picture, and he was like, "Rest in peace, Andy Boyle." And then he's like, he's trying to kill me. Now, mind you, Mark sent that picture with "Rest in peace, Andy," right? And then
Seen it.
And then immediately after claimed that Andy is lying, and I'm like, but there's proof that you posted that. He's like, no.
Andy has had the police at his door over this stuff.
He has been essentially swatted almost with this, because I don't think they sent. I don't know. I guess it would be false allegation for this, because it was only the police, and the police were like, you might want to stop harassing this person. This person doesn't even live in your country. It's like, what? Like, he lives in the offshoot of your country. Like, not in the UK. He lives in Canada. The guys that broke away with their own independence. Yeah, you see, that's it. Oh God, it's so bad. And I was just like,
the rabbit hole is insane.
It is. I was going to ask. He had multiple accounts, and you were saying that you felt that what was the account? The ABDL for All.
ABDL Community for All is a website that, like, honestly, it's changed a few times, and it was a place for you to find mommies, and so now it's kind of more of like an ABDL dating site in a way. It's very strange. It's went through some phases, but Mark Young, we believe, is connected to it in some way, whether it's on the backside through his AdSense thing, because we also found out that he's connected to several other businesses that basically funnel Google AdSense. And again, interacting with him, and the reason why he goes back on these crazy rants and tags you in posts when he wants you to go back and forth with him is because he's getting clicks off of it.
Yeah. And
also, red flag. If you were a legit business, you would not be doing that.
No. And that's why it's so ridiculous. See, I have, like, that makes me question a lot, because I think I in the stuff that wasn't recorded. Oh God, I talked about how in an earlier podcast there was a guy that I had to deal with who was using this for all tag on a lot of these pages. He had 268 pages where he was grooming young teens into and using like saying, "Oh, you're into DDLG, you're into this, you're into that," and just telling them what they're into, and because they like
Yuck.
they wanted that attention, they wanted that I guess you could say that feel to believe that they were mature.
The validation,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was taking advantage of them, and he was making these underage girls do like free webcams and stuff, and the webcam sites didn't know, and he was like straight up getting all the money. Like one of the girls was talking about like how like one girl I interviewed straight up said how she was failing school because she could barely stay awake because he would threaten them. And he actually came after me after the first podcast episode I did about that, and he couldn't do shit because I went and got legal. I have some legal knowledge, so I actually was like, no, you can't. I was like, you have been in the newspaper. I was like, your argument is dead. I was like, you have nothing that you
Yeah.
can do to me. I was like, I can talk about this all day. I don't give a fuck if you don't like it. If you're still doing it and you have all these pages, that's insane. Yeah, the one girl, one of his victims actually talks on the podcast. If you guys ever take the chance, go in and I think it was called Fighting Back Against Your Abuser. I think is the name of the episode. It was an interesting episode. It was. Oh wow. But that's when I was told about that For All website. I immediately thought, is it that dude again? Now, mind you, the guy that I'm referring to, I forget his name, but he actually had got convicted, like arrested and convicted for sleeping with a 12-year-old. So yeah, he got caught in bed with a 12-year-old. It was insane, and he was a real piece of shit. So like, yeah, if you guys, yeah, that was like one of the first interviews I've ever done, or no, I don't know if it's the first. One of
It
the
might be
most major interviews I've done.
like a coincidence, For All
It
seems, I don't know,
it might be. It might be.
that this is like, it's called ABDL Community For All. And I mean, we will find out who exactly has it. I mean, it's only a matter of one, paying money, and two, getting a court order. Both
Mm.
things it's not very hard if you're willing to do it, and you can find out exactly where someone's IP address is coming from, and then a private investigator finds out who it is that lives in that address, and then you know exactly who to serve paperwork to. I mean, that's how we tracked down Mark Young.
And that's interesting because knowing that he's in Canada and not the UK is wild. So it's like what the hell?
Yeah, him and his wife.
Oh wow. And he's now we do know that he's had failed businesses in the past. A matter of fact, there were a couple that had talked about how he had scammed them out of money. Like one business that he was doing was like he literally copied and pasted this like almost like this website that was similar to like Expedia. It was something like similar to Expedia where it's supposed to be for like international flights and stuff like that. Literally copied the website like verbatim and had all these people to invest money and then like completely flubbed the entire thing. So
Well, I mean, if we looked up con artist, on Google, I feel like Mark Young's picture with his crazy hair would be right next to it. Like that, he is.
If that is him, by the way, because I'm questioning that.
According to Discovery, that is Mark Young, and we have found his personal Facebook and confirmed his wife and compared pictures from what he posts on his personal Facebook to what he posts on his AB clinic website. or Twitter. And yeah,
So
the
that
crazy
is
hair and
him.
all. It is him.
So
Yeah.
then why all the AI shit? I don't understand. Like if
I know. Why not just get on and talk just like we are right now? I mean, it would seem more legitimate than you using an AI to create a YouTube video, but I don't know. I mean, why does Mark Young do what he does? Because he's making money. You know, if he hustles a couple of people every day out of a couple of bucks, it's it's paying something, you know?
yeah, but
But
but again, then he'll start screaming if he steals your stuff and you complain about it. He'll start screaming about how you're trying to hold a monopoly over the community. How the hell do you do
no, I'm just trying to hold a monopoly over the content that I create.
exactly? Your
And it's
is
not a monopoly, it's called a copyright.
exactly. And I was like, what? Like, no, this isn't like how do
It's
you hold a
insane.
monopoly? It is so weird. Yeah, I see when it comes to this, it's so ridiculous. Like I was saying before, I ran into people that were doing scams like this on Facebook because a lot of these scammers are on Facebook.
Mhm.
Like for instance, at one point he was trying to say that he was a part of the Thailand nursery, that the Thailand nursery was going to work with him. And I have some candid things to say about the Thailand nursery. Like one of the things is that like why am I paying a guy who lives in the UK to go to a nursery in Thailand? Like
Yeah.
what? Yeah, that's suspicious to me. Like I don't know if it's suspicious to the rest of you, but that's suspicious to me. But yeah, but then there was like some really terrible things that one of the mommies that worked at that nursery said, and like she used to go online and bully people who were like, "Hey, I'm looking for a mommy." Well, you could get the experience if you just pay for it. It's not even that expensive. You should just come here to Thailand. Do you know how much it is? And I remember having an argument with this woman and being like, "Do you have any idea how much a passport to Thailand is? Do you realize that not everybody is some rich 70-year-old white guy who has like a shit ton of money and can just dump it right there for you?" Because one of the things that irritated me with that is that apparently there's a couple of ABs that actually did go to the Thailand nursery. And I remember their post on FetLife where they talked about this. And they were like, they treated us like garbage because we didn't have the money that all the other old people that were there had. And they were like, it's basically a retirement home. Which, if you go to their website, they kind of say it is. It's an ABDO retirement home, and there's a lot of guys on there who I'm not even sure are still alive. Like a lot, like they were really old. Like I'm talking about like
Yeah, they just need
70s
to
and
update their
80s.
website a little.
Yeah, a little. They updated their website. So get this, they updated the website about 3 years ago. And actually, no, yeah, they updated it once about 3 or 4 years ago, and then updated it again last year. Now, this website still looks like it hopped off of something from Angel Fire, and a lot of the pictures and stuff that you see on there is all low quality fucking video cameras that look like they pulled out video cameras from like the 90s and it was filmed on cassette, and it's like it's really bad, and it's just like the pictures are not high quality, but at the very least you know that these people are there. I don't know if any of those old people are still living, and that's probably why they had to redo the site, is because they need to try to get more people so that they can make money off of this again. But it's kind of like it's kind of sad because it's like them trying to. Well, eventually they'll find. I guess they're like, eventually we'll find like the last remnants of the Diaper Pail friends, and like who is still alive from that group. It's like, no, this is some questionable shit. But then
Yeah.
yeah, but then like I hate pages like that. But then like the people that Mark also gets are the extremist people. Now, in the part of the podcast you guys will never get to hear because there was no audio to it, I talk about this. There was some the community used to have extremists in it. And the extremists that were in the community back then would like wear sissy outfits and run out to a group of girls in a parking lot. And these girls are like, "What the hell?" And then like kick the dude in the nuts. And that's what that guy went there for. It's like Mark has done like these people, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to expose this person on the website that on the page that on the Twitter page that's supposed to be for his company." How it doesn't make your company look safe when you're exposing someone because they're into that extreme humiliation kink. Like,
I think
no.
that's just further proof that like he's really just using any opportunity he can to scam someone, because the people who are into exposure, they don't care if Mark Young's a legitimate business, or if he's good to people, or if he has good business practices. All they care about is the follower count. How many people are going to see my photo? I mean, it's an interesting dynamic, that's for sure.
It is, and it's like you had said that you had saw the guy with the firefighter outfit, and he's just wearing a diaper, and the
Yeah, he
fireman's
claims that
package.
this person has been to the clinic, but like you and I both know that anyone in the public service industry is not going to post themselves on the internet in a diaper and do a testimonial. Like, they're just not. I mean, even if you're really out there with who you are as an AB,
Mm-hmm.
you're still not going to do it in your work uniform. That could get you in trouble. It's
and
red flag.
that's one of the major issues. See, like I this is why I have an issue with a lot of the shit that Mark does. Is because like no, you wouldn't do that. Especially you wouldn't go and run a group on Facebook called Mentally Ill Diaper Fucks, where you make
Yeah.
fun of ABDLs the whole fucking time and then immediately change it to this elite AB clinic group page and claim that you're going to offer services that you're not ever going to offer. It's disingenuous all around, and
Red flag. Yeah.
it's all a red flag. It sucks.
It's
Like
as if the original page showed him that this is a very vulnerable, emotionally vulnerable community that he could probably swindle. Like, it's so obvious to me that Mark Young knows nothing about ABDL, let alone if he's into it. And why would anyone who's not into it run a nursery?
But this is exactly goes back to what I was saying before, and this is why I have an issue with the people that, like I said, they fed the rats. Now we have a rat infestation. Like
Yes.
that's the way that it works, and that's why we're filled with scammers. Here's a little tidbit for a lot of you guys that are watching the podcast and don't know about this. In From 2014 when I started taking count of this, from 2014 to 2018, there was roughly about 30,000 to 50,000 scam accounts on Instagram alone. That was on Instagram. Fake mommy accounts. This was the golden age of this, right?
Golden age.
I have to say the golden age because this shit ain't flying no more. So then from 2018 to 2020, like just before the pandemic, it went from 30 to 50,000 to 100 to 200,000 accounts. When the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic hit, it went from 1 to 200 1 to 200,000 accounts to over 4 million accounts on Instagram. And that was during the pandemic, and it's only tripled since then. So
Mm-hmm.
these accounts, we're taking them down, but it's like whack-a-mole. So you're hitting one account, hitting another account, hitting another account, and it's just not working. It's just not. It's just not.
It's true. And sometimes it feels like an uphill battle, or maybe even one that isn't even worth it, because if you take out one, three more pop up in its place. It's like a weed. Um, but not letting these accounts amass large amounts of followers is important, because people are more likely to fall for an account that looks more legitimate if it's got a ton of followers. And I think that that's how we prioritize the accounts that really need reporting, is how many followers do they have? How many posts do they have up? How well are they working this scam?
see, I watch way too much Disney Channel, not Disney Channel, but Disney Plus, and I've been watching Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the Avengers, and I was laughing because when you said about them being a weed, in the back of my mind, I was like, no, they're definitely Hydra. You cut off one head, two more, she'll take its place.
Yes.
It's like, what the fuck? Oh God, there's so
Yeah.
many of these accounts, and it's like, it's become a problem. I had one person to impersonate me, and I messaged them, and I was like, "That's adorable." I was like, "There's no way anyone is gonna fall for this. I'm too eccentric for this." I was like, "I'm sorry."
Well, I think they just, take pictures from accounts that, have a large amount of followers. I mean, there's tons of accounts that have tried to say that they're my backup, because that's a pretty good, avenue to try and go down. But like I said before, it's much easier for us to get an account taken down that's using my content because of actual legal. I can prove it legally that I'm copyrighted,
and that's one of the, like, that's good, because this is why you, like, for all of you guys that do your own, like, photo work and stuff like that, definitely what you need to do is oh wait, what happened? Hold on. Hold on. Sorry about that.
that's okay.
Apparently my VPN hit a really bad server spot, I guess. I had to switch the server on which it was on. That's strange, because I've never.
We're back again.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I was saying before was, it's just that, like, it is like, there are so many of these scam accounts that are out there that are just like taking people's work. I've seen Succubunny DL. She's had her content taken. I've seen so many, like, and Succubunny seems to be like some of these scammers' favorites, because on Facebook there's a lot of them, but the accounts that they used to have, a lot of those got taken down. So so that is a good thing. But there's just a lot of these guys whose content is just constantly taken and having and like reposted, and then they're like, "My name is Alice." No, it's not. I know the person who's in that photo. Like what?
Yeah.
The other thing is I'm really surprised that people come after me, because, like, with this, because I'm a podcaster. You see that in the title. I don't hide that on any of the channels that I'm on. So why would you go and try to talk to them and be like, "I'm a mommy"? I already know you're not. Like, it's so wild. Yeah.
During our live shows on the Royal Guard, we like to let people submit their best back and forth with a scam mommy, like really messing with them and getting, there's one guy who tries to get every scam mommy to buy him a pizza, because he's like, "Well, you want to take care of me, send me some pizza." Like, and it's, some of the back and forth is hilarious. And Bear and I will read the script back and forth. It's so funny.
I'm curious if they ever sent them a pizza.
He has not succeeded yet. But I told him that if he could get a scam mommy to actually send him a pizza, that I would send him dessert, because that would be that would be such an accomplishment. You know what I mean? Like, Oh my God, you finally did it. I
Oh,
will send you crumble cookies or whatever you want.
oh my goodness, that would be hilarious. It's like I can't imagine on like how these people still think, because one of the people that tried to scam me once, and I don't know if I ever told this story. I think I did on the Fet vlogs once. I actually had a Nigerian actually message me after I told them that I knew that their IP address was in Nigeria. And he was like, "How do you know? How do you know?" I was like, "Dude, I am a very talented like software guy. I am telling you right now, I already know where you were." And I says your scamming ability is really bad because you're breaking down.
You need to work on.
Yeah, I was like, your English is breaking down real quick. And he's just like, "Oh, you don't understand. Like, I'm in a serious situation." I'm like, "Oh," and then he like turns on his camera and shows me like where in Nigeria he is, and it is like I don't know what area it was, but he was like surrounded by trash, and it was like all over the ground and whatnot, and I was just like, "Holy shit, you really?" I was like, I thought in my head because I bluffed him because I did not know he was in Nigeria. I took a wild guess, and he was just like, he says, "You see, I live in a terrible situation," and I said, "So then why don't you just earn the money legitimately?" I was like, "Instead of doing this." I was like, "You're scamming people out of money because you Americans have so much money." No, we don't.
Not
Like,
all.
I was like,
Yeah.
I straight up told the guy, I was like, "We are actually in the same boat, and you just don't realize it." I was like, we're in the same boat. We're both poor. I was like, barely able to make ends meet. Like, no, it's pretty bad. And he's just like, "No, you have more than me. That's why I do this. Because it's so easy to get money from Americans who just throw it out for no reason."
Telling.
Yeah.
But that's the you know what? If he succeeds every once in a while, I see
That
now I
one.
feel bad for the scammers. Dang
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but not every scammer is that person.
No,
Yeah,
some of them are like
yeah,
Mark Young, who
yeah, and that becomes a bit of an issue. Is that you don't get guys like that every single time. You get them; they're different in each and every facet
yeah,
and form.
yeah,
So yeah,
for sure. You know, I don't know. This is when was Indie Dream World? Was that like 4 years ago?
no,
3 years ago?
it was two.
Oh.
I like that you said that because I actually have to talk about that.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
giving it until June. I don't want to cover it.
I don't want to call it because it's not a scam, but I just recently heard about their disappearance and I was like, what's
So
in June?
let me okay, so I mean we've talked about Mark, and this is a little bit of a tidbit, a little bit of a teaser of what I have to talk about. Um so there was so while I was at CAP, there was a whole conversation that happened. Uh, word from the grapevine, like I should say word from the bushes more so, because it's like nobody really wants to talk on this subject because a lot of people are really mad. Um, is that they are re how would you put it, like
Rebranding?
rebranding, yeah.
No.
Yeah, because they lost the hotel that they were supposed to hold the con at. And
The one that
so
had roaches or the one
I'm gonna be honest with you, the one that had roaches was better than like that con wasn't that bad. Like
it was it was a lot of fun. There was no water in my room and I felt a little bit like I needed to leave all my luggage there, but the con was actually pretty fun.
wait, there was no water in your room. There was no hot water in ours. So God, I forgot the story. So we had a coffee maker in our room, right?
Oh,
I cleaned out the coffee maker, heated up the hot water in the coffee maker, and poured it into the sink by plugging the sink. and by doing that, we were able to take like mini showers because there was no hot water for us to actually do this. So, but this kept us cleanly. So that was the good news. Um,
That weekend was the weekend that I met Caitlin, and we felt like we were bonding over like this really weird camping experience.
well, yeah, you met my boyfriend Mouse, and Mouse he actually says, "How do you know how to do this?" I was like, "Survival, my boy, survival."
Yeah.
I says,
Gotta make do.
yeah, I was like, I know how to do this so that if the apocalypse comes and it's like Fist of the North Star with giant hulking dudes that like that can make your head explode, yeah, no, I'm prepared. I know how to survive on this. Coffee maker, if it still works, it'll produce hot water. So if you can get some power, you can just use that to create the hot water that you need. And that's how we were taking baths, because the water that was, they did not have hot water. And then
Nope.
the heater, like, it got really cold in our room because Mouse is like a lizard. Like, he is just like, he gets cold really easily, and he cut on the heat, and the heat was unfucking bearable because he put it at 70 and it felt like it was 100. So when we put on the fan, you know, just to have the fan on so it's not all like steaming hot in our room, the heater broke and we couldn't use the heat anymore, and it was just cold the whole time. And I was like, yo, this is...
Yeah, there were people who left and went and got hotels elsewhere, and like I was tempted, but I was like, I'm gonna make the best of this situation. Like, I'm not gonna act like, a prissy girl who can't handle it. But I went to just run a bath. Like, I was like, I'm gonna take a bubble bath, and there was a bug in the tub, and I went out and I was like, Caitlin, I need you to come look at this. And we both stood there, and I was like, is that what I think it is? And she's like, I don't know. So we Googled it, and we're looking at the bug on the phone, and we're looking at the bug, and we're like, yeah, that's definitely one of those. And I was like, what am I doing here? Oh my God. But
so there was that. Oh my gosh. I had to solve a couple of people's problems with roaches because I actually figured out how, like, where they were coming from. Because anytime I go into a room at any hotel, no matter where it is, my cosplay group and me and any of my friends know that I do this. When we go to the hotel, we leave all our stuff by the door, and we go and write down any flaws with the room. Because at conventions like anime cons, they will charge you. Some of the hotels are sleazy, and they will charge you for damage that was already there. So I went through, was just writing this stuff down, went back there the first day. I was like, here's all of the problems I found with your room, just so that you guys don't fuck me over. Can you write that down onto the room? And they were like, yeah, sure. And then that's usually it. This is why I have a 5-star rating with hotels. However, get this shit. We went to this room and I said, check everything, because our trip to Indiana was fucked. Like, we took the bus. That's how we got there. We took the bus. And we took a Greyhound, and on this Greyhound, there was a guy that got on the bus with us. This guy had like an Aldi's bag, and it had like all his clothes and shit with him. I was guessing that he had just got out of jail and that he was traveling wherever to Ohio. While we're on the road, we stop at this one stop, and I asked Mouse, hey, do you want anything? He's like, yeah, could you get me a green tea? And I was like, yeah. So I went in there to get him a green tea from the store, and I'm getting all this different stuff for us to be able to have snacks on the bus. I get back on the bus first. When I get back on this bus, this guy that was sitting in that seat was still in the store. His bag is on the seat. There's a roach that rolls out of his bag. And I go, is that a roach? It's like, it is. And everyone is freaking the fuck out because we're just like, what the fuck? How is he carrying that? I was like, yo, this dude had a roach in his bag. Like, legitimately had that in the bag. Fuck. So now this thing is loose on the bus and it could get into anybody's shit. And I was like, I tried to kill it and I missed him. And I was like, fuck, no, he's escaped. So now this roach is now roaming freely on this bus. And I told the people, I was like, hey guys, just to let you all know there is a roach on the bus. I saw him. Be careful with your shit. And everyone's like, oh shit, where was it? I was like, it was on this seat. And the guy was like, where did the roach come from? This is what the guy with the bag asked me. And I go, from your fucking bag. And he was like, what? No, it didn't. How would you know? You were in the store. So,
yeah.
Like, no, it came from your bag. So when he got off the bus, this other girl hopped into the seat, and I told her, I was like, hey, you might not want to sit there. There was a roach free. She's like, I don't care. And just goes straight to sleep. And I was like, well, that solved that problem. We get to Indiana. We get out of the bus stop, and I'm like, so this is Indiana, huh? This is Indianapolis. I'm shaking my head. I was like, this is fucking cool. I like this. I walk into that bus station, and it is just oozing E. coli from the walls. And then, like, and I'm just like, the fuck? There are two people. There's like a whole group of people waiting for their bus on one side, and a whole bunch of drug addicts on the opposite side. And there are like two who had just shot up some heroin, and they're just like leaning on each other. And I'm like, I go, what the fuck is this experience? So we order Uber to come and pick us up, and I go to the bathroom. The bathroom looks like something that should have been in GoldenEye for the N64, from like way back when. I was like, is this a bathroom? Why is there a cast shadow over where the stalls are? Where are the lights? The lights are on the ceiling, but it's like this weird like cast that was in there. I was like, this place looks like something that was modeled for the N64. Oh god, this is terrible. I used the bathroom. I'm like, okay, let's get the fuck out of here. So we go outside. There's a drug deal happening. And then I look across the street and I see a White Castle, and I was like,
that's how you know you're in the Midwest.
Yeah,
when there's a White Castle.
I was like,
that should have like set the precedent for the con right there. I feel like you have the best entry story.
I looked over and I just go, there's a White Castle here. And I look around and I go, I thought we were in Indianapolis. And he's like, we are. And I was like, this looks like the Bronx circa 1996. I was like, there's a fucking White Castle across the street. I was like, all crime happens at the White Castle. I know.
Did you at least go get some sliders?
Yeah, I was like, I grew up in New York during the 90s. Like, I know. And then like we got into our Uber driver gets there, and he like when he gets there, the car is all beat up. Like it looked like it was it was a prop in the Avengers movie and the Hulk used it. It was so beat up. I was like, oh no. So he had to open the door. So he opens the door from the inside on the passenger side in the back for Mouse. He opens it up there. And then he's like, hold on. And he has to crawl into the back seat and start punching the door to open that other door. And I go, what am I seeing? And Mouse is laughing. I'm not. I'm horrified. And I'm just like, I'll just put it in the trunk. I say, at this point, I don't care. We get onto we're in the car. We're on the road heading to the con. And something came up that was a little bit weird. Mouse goes, hey, did you look at the reviews for the hotel? And I go, what? No. What was the review for the hotel? And he says, you might want to see this. And I look at it, and it's a 1.5.
I didn't even look into it at all. I was shocked when I got there, and then again, I was like, "You know what? I'm teaching my meditation with mommy class, like, I'm not gonna back out on this at this point." I'm like, "I'm in it for the long haul," and then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
But it got funnier because like when we got there, as we were getting there, I asked the guy. I says, "Hey, have you ever been to this hotel?" "Oh, I've dropped people off here before." I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Do you know anything about the hotel?" "No, not really." I was like, "Is it a good hotel or a bad hotel?" Is what I'm trying to ask. Yeah, he starts laughing. He says, "I wish I could give you an answer on that," but he says, "What did the review say?" It's saying it's a shit hotel, dude. I was like, "I don't know how we're gonna stay here." So
Yeah.
we get there to the place, and as we walk through the door, first off, the parking lot had no lights. The parking lot is dark as shit. And,
Yeah.
and I was like, fuck. I don't know how we're gonna do this. We get into the building, and it has like all this shitty like neon lighting, and on the floor to my right, like as soon as we walk in, he goes, "Well, it doesn't look." Mouse goes, "It doesn't look like that's this bad of a place. I mean, it has to be cool." And I look down at the floor. I go, "Homie, look at the floor." And he's like, "What?" "Look at your floor." And he looks down and he goes, "Is that a rat trap?" "That is a rat trap." As we walk around, I go, "There are multiple rat traps." What the hell? I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
not good. So we get to the front desk. They give me a card. We passed you. I remember that because you were walking that night. And we walked all the way to our room. And when we used the card on our room, it didn't work. So we had to come all the way back, rescan, go back, doesn't work again. So they gave me the master key to open the door. And I was like, and Mouse goes, "It's a good thing we're responsible because it would be a real bad fucking thing if somebody was to do." I was like, "Yeah, I know." I fucking know.
Good thing you're an honest human, because that was, I
So,
know.
yeah, and then they're like, "Oh, well, could you just return that in the morning?" Sure. I was
What
like,
if you need it?
I was like, oh my god, because they couldn't program the key. So the girl had me to ask the morning crew to program the key for me, which they did. We got the key, opened the door, went in like in the morning. We went out for breakfast in the morning, but when we got there, Mouse throws his bag on the bed. I says, "What the fuck are you doing? Take that bag off that bed." I said, "Put it on top of my luggage and leave it right here." And he's like, "Why?" I says, "You are to inspect this room. Never go into a room and just lay down. That's stupid." I was like, "Inspect it with a fine-tooth comb." We go through the whole room. I didn't find any holes or anything on the walls, but I did notice that there was a 1.5 inch gap under the door. So we took a bunch of towels and made draft blockers so that nothing could crawl in. And like they came there the next morning and they were like, "Oh, you just blocked the hole under the door." Yeah, you guys might want to get something for that. We went to
Yeah.
we went to
A little
breakfast and
something.
everything. Yeah, we went to breakfast and everything. It the first breakfast of the con was terrible because we went to Cracker Barrel, and it was the saltiest meal I ever had in my entire life.
Well,
So
that's the Cracker Barrel for you.
yeah. And after we left, we went to a couple of other places. Another AB. There's another AB that I met there, and I know it was her. I know for a fact it was her. Because when I was sitting there, when she walked in, I was like, "I know who that is." And she kept staring at me and I kept staring at her. And then I kept saying, I told him, I says, "Mouse, I think that's the chick I've been talking to online." And he's like, "You think she's going to the con?" I was like, "I don't know." That it
Why?
I was
What are
like,
the chances?
yeah. So we after we leave there, we go back to the con. She never shows up at the con. And then I asked her, I says, "Hey, quick question. Do you happen to live in Indianapolis?" And she's like, "Yeah, how did you know?" I says, "Because we sat tables from each other Oh, that wasn't me. That wasn't me at all. I'm like, yeah, no, that was definitely you. That was 100% you. And then I realized what it was. It's because she had a boyfriend and didn't want people to know that she actually had a guy. She wanted people to believe that she was still single.
Mm.
It was strange, and I was like, oh, all right. I had lost contact with her since I lost my other account, and I think that she pretty much like hard deleted her last account. But
Mm.
yeah, the con itself wasn't that bad. I made a lot of friends. I met a lot of really interesting,
Same.
fun people.
Yeah. I made a
Yeah,
lot of connections at that event, and like it was, the activities were fun. My class went really well. And I just, when the second year rolled around, I was like, well, I think I'm going to give it another year. And if it survives, I'll go again the next time. And so hearing, I mean, what can you do other than rebrand after the first two that happened? But yeah, I heard like they just instantly uh, pulled everything from the internet.
they
Just
did.
poof,
They did.
gone.
They did. They like the website is gone. Everything is down. I'm gonna talk more in depth about this. I'm gonna see if I can get in contact with the guy that the head of the con. I haven't spoken to him in like months. He was on the podcast advertising for the con, so
Yeah.
that's why I don't understand why this like what happened, and like everyone was saying it. Some of the people that I talked to, like I said, it came from the bushes. The word on the street is that they were rebranding because they lost the hotel that they were going to hold the con at in for this year, and they decided to move it to Texas, which I don't know how that's going to go because there are a lot of trans members of the community who are not going to go to Texas. They're not going to go to Florida either. So it's like I don't know how that's going to run if he does do it in Texas. It's the same thing with like ABU wanting to hold a con, which that's pretty much dead in the water as far as I'm concerned. They bought TeddyCon. I've explained like the math on this, and like I underestimated. I didn't realize how much money like the actual full calculation is for like how much they would technically how much debt they can accrue, they have probably could have accrued over that because I didn't realize it was like $500,000 in debt for TeddyCon. I didn't know that it was 500 grand. I didn't know that that's how bad it was. I thought it was less than that. Yeah, the whole situation's pretty bad, and a lot of people are upset because they know now that their money is absolutely gone, or possibly absolutely gone,
Yeah.
because that entire project is on hiatus for the time being, and no one knows when this con is actually going to happen. Um, yeah, I would hold up the title that is here somewhere, but it's like I don't know how this is going to go. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know how this is going to go. I can't see it being in the seeing it. I can't see a positive note out of either con at this point because indie. Like I said, I'm not going to say anything until June. I don't want to say it's a scam that these people got scammed out of money because I don't know. I want to
Yeah.
give them time. I'm giving it until June. If I don't hear anything until by June, then I'm just going to assume that's what the fuck happened because that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I'm going to try my best to get in touch with Nate and see if he can clear up some of this. But yeah, it is like the situation right now as far as cons go is pretty bad. I just recently, speaking of cons, I actually am going to one next week. That is a kink con that I found here in my state, actually in my city.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a tabletop kinky con. Like it's like, yeah, it's for tabletop gaming, so like Dungeons and Dragons
Wow.
and like other tabletop games, while also being a kinky convention where you can wear anything that you want. And they have like a cosplay contest, which I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing for that. A lot of like some of my friends are like, you should do Link, or some of them are like, oh, you could bring back ABDL Deku from the My Hero Academia costume you did. I'm like, I could do a lot of. I have no idea
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
Well, I hope that's really fun for you. That sounds like a great time.
I'm hoping so too, because like I this is the first time I've been to a convention with my sister in a long time, so this is actually this is going to be a pretty fun time. That's what I'm
That's
hoping.
exciting.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, man, we covered a lot of different topics today, but I feel like they all had like kind of similarities. Um, I am set to go live on my kitten Instagram tonight to talk about our new kitten line. So
Oh,
unfortunately,
the kitten line of clothing.
yeah. Yeah, it's really exciting. We've got some new products coming out from Mile High Mommy Company that we'll be talking about over there. And it's already, oh gosh, I don't even know what time it is at home. I'm on Toronto time.
So if you're on, if you're, if it's 3 hours back, because Denver is 3 hours behind us, so it's about 6 o'clock.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I I'm hold on. Let me just make sure that I can make sure of that. It's 7:30 actually. It's 7:30 in Denver. They're 2 hours behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as always, Lars, it has been a pleasure talking to you, seriously.
Same. And I've enjoyed this conversation because this is something I've been wanting to ask for a while about the whole
Denver Post article.
yeah, I had to ask that because I actually saw it in the Daily Mail, ironically, and the
Yeah,
Daily Mail UK.
tons of tons of people picked it up after the Denver Post, originally posted
Mm-hmm.
it and like kind of chopped it up and quoted it in different ways. But yeah,
So fascinating, and I wish you all the luck with that because like
yeah,
someone's got to put an end to the scammers.
yeah,
But
definitely.
thank you for being on the podcast,
Oh, thank you.
and for everybody else that is watching, thank you for joining us again for the Kid Ankh Ageplay podcast. And I will see you soon. Bye.